Welcome back to Just Grab Radio on BJPenn.com. I'm your host Cole Shelton, episode 177. We got a good lineup here ahead of UFC Paris on Saturday, which is a really good fight night card. First up, we're going to be joined by Matt Frevola to preview his fight against Paris. We haven't seen Matt since November last year, the MSG card. We got knocked out in the first round by Benoit Saint Denis. He was supposed to fight Michael Johnson. Johnson pulled out, and then he just never got an opponent. It's been a while for him, but he's really looking forward to going to France. He said he got a lot of respect from the France fans after fighting Saint Denis, so he's excited to go out there, see the country, and then put on a really exciting fight, he thinks, against Paris. I mean, he knows a win here gets him right back into fighting those ranked guys. We're then going to be joined by Bryan Battle to preview his main card fight against Kevin Jousset. Bryan coming off that no contest, Angelos in the fight, he was dominating, and then the fight got stopped. Would have been 3 in a row. He's fighting Kevin, who's born in France but fights out of City Kickboxing. 2-0 in the UFC, coming off a nice one over Keenan Song back in December. Hasn't fought in a while. He was supposed to fight, obviously, Jared Gooden missed weight, and the fight was scrapped. So Bryan's looking forward to this one, though. He thinks he can really just outstrike Kevin to get a good, exciting win here and really start to be considered a top 15 welterweight. And then we close things out talking to Vince Morales, who's back in the UFC. Appreciate Vince. We did this Sunday afternoon, right before he was about to fly to Paris. So obviously everything was kind of hectic for when it got announced he was back in the UFC, but he's said he's been really loving all the support he had. He's on a 5-fight winning streak. Coming off a nice submission win over Hunter Azure as a UFC vet, beat a UFC vet in Teruto Ishiwara on that winning streak. But he knows his hands are fully on Taylor Lapis, but he has a lot of confidence that he can go get the win and really start to right the ship of his UFC career. But be sure to share the show, subscribe, and tune in next week for another episode of Just Scrap Radio. All right, we're jumping UFC lightweight Matt Frevola, who's heading out to Paris, France pretty soon. Matt, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Just training hard.
First thing I want to talk about, like, it's been a bit since we saw you, like November last year. I know we're supposed to have that fight against Michael, and then he pulled out. Like, what kind of was the reason for this long of a layoff then?
Yeah, he got hurt. That fight fell through, and then I had a baby, so I kind of just was focusing, helping my wife, and our beautiful son was born, and now I'm a new dad. So now it's time to get back in the octagon.
And this Paris card, is it something you want, or is it just what they offered you?
No, it's something we wanted. We pushed for this Paris card. I love the French people, the French fans. They're so passionate. From my last fight against Benoit, even in a loss, I really felt the love from all the French people. And France is somewhere I've always wanted to go. I've always wanted to go to Paris, and there's no better reason to go to Paris than to have a good scrap and then have a nice vacation.
With ZM, like, how familiar were you with him?
I've watched a bunch of his fights even before we were matched, and he's a very sorry about that. He's a very technical, great kickboxer, well rounded, and I always knew that he was solid. And he's on a 3-fight winning streak now, so I'm preparing for the best version of him that they'll be, and I'm gonna be ready.
What have you made of his last couple fights? Like, been in some close ones, but like beating some pretty good guys. The UFC, like, he beat Jai Herbert, Jamie Malarkey. Like, he has some pretty good wins.
Yeah, he's gotten those wins. A lot of them were close, but he was able to get the W, and that's just he's a very smart, intelligent, good striker, and he used his length. He used his high fight IQ to squeak out those wins. But that's not how I fight. I go in there looking for finishes, and if he thinks he's just gonna be skating and landing his jab and moving and making it a boring fight, that's not how I fight. So I'm gonna be in his face, and he's finally gonna have an exciting fight fighting me.
Uh, Going into France, like, what do you think that crowd will be like? Like, they're from, I know they haven't had a whole lot of UFC cards, but they all seem pretty loud on just based on TV. Like, what are you kind of expecting that environment to be like for you?
Oh, I'm pumped, man. I'm expecting it to be wild. I am fighting a Frenchman, so I know that they support their own. But I think that even though I'm an American, the French people love me as well, and I'm gonna fight hard for them, and I'm gonna put on a great fight, and I'm going to go out there and leave everything I got in that octagon like I always do.
Uh, where was this camp? Is it all in Tampa, or did you go up to the Long Island for a bit? Like, how'd you kind of do this one?
I'm home in Long Island.
Yeah.
I've been home here for a while. Training with Ray Longo, training at Matt Serra's, training at with Jason Rao, Nick Ronan at Vanguard for jiu-jitsu as well, strength and conditioning at Acceleration. I got a great camp back home. I did a week out in Vegas. I was out in Vegas last week, so that was a good little mix up. I always like to do a week in Vegas during camp just to change things up and utilize the Performance Institute. But we're back home in Strong Island, baby. That's my home, and that's my team. So I'm working hard here.
Who are the main guys you're working with then? Just the same guys than you as usual, or do you bring anyone different for ZM?
No, just all the guys we got. Charlie Campbell, I'm sparring with. I was getting some rounds in with Dennis Bazooka. He's fighting, I think, next weekend. Getting some rounds with Dylan Montello this weekend. We always got killers at this gym, and luckily a lot of lightweights who are about the same size as ZM. So I'm getting that look. And then Longo's just pushing me and making sure I'm ready to go like he always does.
Who is making the trip over to France with you?
I got me. I got my brother. The cheese roll is always by my side. My dad's coming. I got Longo's coming. He's bringing his wife too. He's going to make a little vacation out of it. I got Steve Lee. He's coming out, who's been a lot of help. He's the manager at Longo's gym, and he's becoming a great coach in his own. And then my whole family's coming out. My wife's coming out. My baby's coming out. My in-laws are coming out. They're all going to go to Italy for like a week, and then they're going to come meet us over in Paris for the fight. So I got a bunch of buddies coming out, and whoever wants to come, you got your passport, let's go. Come out to Paris.
Mm-hmm. For you, like, how do you kind of see this fight playing out then?
It's going to be a fight. He's going to come out there, try to, land his shots and, try to outpoint me. And I'm going to come in there and look to finish him. I'm well-rounded. I can wrestle. I can strike. I got good jiu-jitsu. And I plan on utilizing all my weapons against him. It's not going to be a pretty kickboxing fight like he wants. It's going to be a dog fight.
Is there any pressure on you just coming off that last loss and like not fighting for a bit to kind of remind everyone that you're still this top 15 guy?
No, I don't think so. Every next fight is the big fight. Just another fight, but we got a great French opponent. We're going to Paris, doing another fight camp, doing another weight cut, getting in beast mode again, and ready to go out there and do what I do.
Where do you think a win here puts you? Like, I think maybe it is another ranked guy for you. Because I don't get how you aren't in the rankings, really.
Yeah, who knows with those rankings? I know that I fought some of the best guys in the world. I've beaten some of the best guys in the world, and I know I belong there. And on my best day, I can beat anybody in the world. So all I can do is focus on being my best and showing that in the octagon. So with a win in Paris, I'm just looking to keep climbing the ranks, and hopefully get a good fight schedule. Get a bunch of fights in. I don't want these long layoffs. I want to try to rattle off a couple big wins in a row.
Someone that you've had interest in fighting is Paddy Pimblett. What do you make of his performance against Bob Green? And do you think he would win that fight going into it?
Yeah, I'm like the only one who's been giving Paddy respect for this whole time. I knew that he was, he's most dangerous in his transitional jiu-jitsu, and he showed it there. I thought Bobby was going to give him a better fight than that, but he took that shot, made that mistake, and Paddy jumped on it and had a beautiful finish. So props to him.
And then they're coming down back to Tampa at the end of the year. Like, is that kind of a date you have circled if, like, barring all health good comes in, that you can get at least 2 fights in this year then?
Oh yeah, I saw that they were going to Tampa, and I got that starred. Tampa's my second home. I was down there for a long time. My boy Billy Q's down there, Matt Arroyo's down there, so it would be fun for me and Billy Q to get on the same fight card. We used to do that all the time as amateurs, fighting in strip club parking lots and all that stuff. So to be able to fight on the same card as him in Tampa in the UFC would be a surreal moment. So hopefully we can get that done.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. Have you guys even fought? I don't know if you fought on the same UFC card yet, you and Billy.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, so that would be a good one. You guys in Tampa, you'd get a lot of fan support.
Oh yeah, we'd have that place going wild.
Just kind of building off that, like, what is kind of the goal then for the next couple fights, next couple months for you? Like, get past this one, hopefully get on that Tampa card, and then kind of where do you think that kind of puts you all? Like, what is kind of the goal for the next little bit?
Yeah, just keep doing this. It's crazy. I've been fighting for 13 years now. But I'm just reaching my prime, I feel, physically, mentally, spiritually. I'm a father now. I'm a better man now. I'm a skilled martial artist. My body feels great. My mind feels great. And I'm 34 years old. I know I'm not going to be able to do this forever. So I want to make the most out of my prime right now, and get as many big fights as I can, win as many big fights as I can, and then sail off into the sunset and figure out whatever's next.
And watch the Bills beat the Jets again this year and win the division.
Come on, man. These Jets are looking good, bro.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, we're jumping UFC welterweight Bryan Battle, who's back in action and head down to Paris. Bryan, how's it going, man?
It's going, man. You know what I'm saying? Just busting our ass every day. You know what I'm saying? Now I got a name, I got a victim, so life is good.
Before we get into this one, I do want to talk to you about that last fight. Like, are you over that one yet? Or is there still like a lot of like what are you kind of like what kind of has happened? Because it's like it was like a win for you, but like not really. It's a win. Like, what is kind of the basketball months been like since that fight?
It's bittersweet because it's the general opinion is that I won the fight. You know what I'm saying? Most people will watch that, understand what was happening and what was going to happen. So and then it's like I got a lot of new fans off that post fight, you know what I'm saying, which wasn't something I intended on doing. So, it was something where it took a life of its own. But it actually, like, the further I get away from it, the more I wish it was just like a regular fight and a regular win, so that it would just show up as a regular win. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice that everyone kind of knows what was going to happen in that fight, but it's frustrating having a no contest on my regular. Like, I should be 6-1 in the UFC, and now I'm 5-1-1. So that's frustrating, but it's in the past. I'm better than Losa. You know what I'm saying? I got to whoop up on Juice in September and move on to the next person.
Was there any ever talk to the UFC of trying to rebook that fight? Because he obviously got booked against Bonfim, or did they kind of know the result and they didn't have much interest?
Nah, they viewed that as a win too. You know what I'm saying? They saw there was no need to rebook that fight. You know what I mean? There wasn't any like major stakes. You know what I'm saying? The matchmaker saw what they needed to see, and the people saw what they needed to see for real. You know what I'm saying? So if we would have fought again, I probably would have put him away in the first, in my humble opinion. You know what I'm saying? The way I would have came at him would have been like, all right, let's just let me get rid of you early so that there's no time for any controversy. You know what I'm saying? Any time for you to pull any stunts. You know what I mean?
With this fight against Juice, like, how familiar were you with him when he got the call?
I wasn't familiar with him at all. No, I didn't know. And that's, I'm waiting. The only person that I knew of before I got offered the fight since I've been in the UFC was Anj. And the only reason I knew who Anj was because he fought AJ. And so I was watching their fight to study for AJ. So No, I had no idea who Kevin was. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, right now, obviously, he's 2-0, so that's nice. You know what I'm saying? He's got a nice, perfect record in the UFC. But I'm somewhat of a veteran now. You know what I'm saying? I'm 7 fights deep. So, I feel confident that I can say I'm the A side, even though I'm coming into enemy territory. You know what I'm saying? I'm the A side of this competition. You feel me?
And going into enemy territories, like, is that something you wanted, or is it just what they got offered of you going out to Paris?
Man, I tell you, when I was getting offered matchups, I because it's hard getting fights. You know what I'm saying? Even if you get offered the matchup, you got to wait for the other person to say yes. So I've had a couple of close calls. Like, I'm not gonna name any names. I was supposed to be on UFC 300. You know what I'm saying? But someone turned it down. And so when I got offered the names, Kevin was the only one who had a date on it. And my agent was like, "Yeah, I mean, if you want to stay busy, we can fight this guy in Paris." I said, "Pause. Did you just say Paris?" You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's where I'm trying to go. That's where I'm trying to fight. I don't really care who it is, and to fight someone from there, that's awesome. Because for me personally, I'm here for the energy. You know what I'm saying? I want to fight in front of live crowds, and I want there to be energy. So, I got to experience it being the hometown guy. That was amazing. That was magical. But even if I come out and everyone in the arena is booing me, you know what I'm saying? As long as there's some kind of energy, I love it. I fucking love it. So I'm looking forward to going in there and spoiling his homecoming. Like, I'm looking forward to it very much. You feel me?
You've had that homecoming fight when you fought Gabe Green. Do you think that adds more pressure to Kevin, though, where it's like, I'm sure you dealt with it, where you have a lot of friends and family asking for tickets or saying, like, oh, I'm going to be there, and you're doing probably a lot more media because it is where you're from. Like, do you think that adds a bit more pressure to Kevin in this fight?
Well, so for sure. Like, I mean, I don't think it's in his like hometown. Like, it's his home country.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in his hometown per se. And like when I fought in Charlotte, like, I live in Charlotte. I train in Charlotte. So I know he's over in New Zealand. So, I think it'll be a little bit different. You know what I mean? But I'm sure he's going to be feeling a little something extra. But I'm not counting on him to be dealing with the effects of if he does crumble under the pressure, that just makes it easier for me. But for me, I'm anticipating him rising to the occasion and being the best version of himself for his people. You know what I mean?
Kevin trains out in Auckland with like Izzy and all those guys, City Kickboxing. So good kickbox. How do you think you kind of match up against him?
I think I smoke him on the feet. You feel me? I think I torch him on the feet. But it's like, I respect it. You know what I'm saying? He's very sharp. He's very technical. You know what I'm saying? Very quick striker. And with that being said, I know he trains because his last couple of opponents have been on like the shorter side, but I know he trains with taller people over in City Kickboxing. So I know he's going to be prepared for my length and everything like that. The thing is just like, there's a difference between training with someone and being that person. You feel me? So, he's over training at City Kickboxing, but, none of those people he's training with are going to get in the cage. And to be honest, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I'm saying? You could be Dutch from the best kickboxing school, you know what I'm saying? Or you could be a K1 champion. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? We're fighting MMA now. So, it's not something I'm really that concerned about.
I know you always go for the finish. So how do you kind of see this one playing out?
A lot of it is going to depend on how he tries to fight me. You feel me? A lot of it depends on, how much he's changed since his last fight. You know what I'm saying? You always have to take in the fact that, who you see on tape is going to be a more improved version of themselves by the time you see them, especially at the age that me and him were both at. But I don't see it getting past the second round. You know what I mean? Like, I see us finish coming within those first 2 rounds. Like, he's a tough dude, you know what I'm saying? I've definitely seen him eat some shots and not get fazed by him for real. So I know he's tough. It's not going to be an easy thing by any stretch of the imagination. But, nothing I do is easy. You feel me? So, within 2, I'll put him away.
What do you think a win here does for you? Like, I feel like it should be a ranked guy if you get past him, especially if you finish Kevin.
Yes, when I finish him, and then finish him in spectacular fashion, add to the highlight, that will put me at 6-1-1, really 7-1. You know what I'm saying, in the UFC. If that isn't enough for a ranked person, I don't know what is enough for a ranked person. You feel me? But especially with another finish. You know what I'm saying? So, but we can't live our lives looking that far down the line. All I really care about is Kevin Jusay and putting on the best performance I can against Kevin Jusay. You know what I mean? So I'll go out there and whoop up on Kevin, and then whatever happens after that, the rest will take care of itself.
Do you think this is probably it for you this year? Or are you hoping you can get one more in then?
If I can get one more in, that'd be ideal for sure. Because like I said, I wanted to fight earlier. I wanted to fight in the summer so that I could get one more fight. But all those things, I'm not gonna rush, but I'll stay ready. I'm gonna stay in shape. So whether I get offered a regular fight or, an opportunity pops up, I'll be ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think I'm on a short list for people they reach out to for those big opportunities. So it's just heading towards the end of the year, just keeping that in mind and keeping my weight down. You know what I'm saying? That's really the biggest thing, is keeping my weight in a place where I can cut in 3 to 2 weeks just in case something pops up.
Just final thing is, since we last talking with you, last had a fight, there's a new champion in your weight class. What you make of Bilal's performance over Leon?
I mean, his performance, it was tremendous. You know what I'm saying? He had a great performance. And I mean, Leon looked a little underwhelming, but that's kind of how he, besides that, the second Kamaru fight, I think that was Leon at his best, and he looked great. All the other fights, you know what I'm saying, he just he wins, but he doesn't do anything crazy, you know what I mean? And this fight, I think he was sleeping on Bilal a little bit because of how their first fight was going before the incident with the knuckle in the eye happened. And, Bilal went out there, did his thing. I don't think he matches up super well with a lot of the top welterweights, in my humble opinion. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, he's beaten a lot of them. So, but a lot of the young guys coming up, I think, will present big problems for him. You feel me? Myself included. So, that's a long way off for me. So, who am I to say anything about the champion of my division? You know what I'm saying? But, if he's there when I get to the top of the division, it'll be, what time it is.
Well, Bryan, I appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this again.
Hell yeah, brother. You have a good one.
Yeah. All right, we're jumping UFC battle. Vince Morales, who's back in the UFC and heading out to Paris. Vince, how's it going, man?
What's good, man? Not just enjoying my last Sunday here in the States.
Yep, probably been a hectic kind of 2 weeks for you since kind of the news came out. When did you kind of get word that the UFC was interested in bringing you back, and when did that kind of all come to fruition for you?
So it's funny. I was I woke up Tuesday morning. I was just scrolling through Twitter and I saw Tyson Nam share something that Taylor Lapilus, his opponent, was still TBA or something, and he was trying to volunteer himself. So I was like, I told him, I'm like, I'll Rochambeau you for it, and the winner can go, dude. And then I hit up my manager, and they were like, no, he's got an opponent. They got that worked out or whatever. And then I was like, whatever. So I go train. I come back, and as I'm getting home, my manager calls me, and he's FaceTiming me, and he's like, how's the weight? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, my weight's always good. It's like, why do you ask? And then, yeah, sure enough, dude, he's like, okay, cool. It looks like we got you back in, dude. You're gonna make a trip to Paris. I was like, okay, let's go.
For you, like, what has this past little bit been like since getting released in the UFC? Like, on a pretty incredible run, like beating some notable guys. Like, you have the win over Ishihara, like your last win over Hunter. Like, what have kind of been this like past kind of like 2 years, I guess, kind of since you've been a year and a half since you've been out of the UFC?
Yeah, like a year and a half. I got released January 2023. So yeah, man, at first it was just real hard to get a fight. I think I said I had like 8 or 9 no's before somebody finally said yes. And then that one got canceled, and it was just chaos. It was rough. And yeah, like I kind of just took the time away because I knew in my mind the goals didn't really change. I was still trying to get better and still trying to perform and still trying to really have some good fights. And it just changed where I was doing them when I got released. So Yeah, I just went back to the lab, to the gym, and really like double down on myself. And I was like, dude, if you really want to do this, like we're gonna have to really start implementing like your full skill set. In the UFC, I think I only showed really some glimpses of greatness in some striking areas, but I'm a pretty well-rounded fighter, and I took this as the time to go like experiment with some of that in the cage.
Uh, Getting back into the UFC is hard. Like we see a lot of guys never get back in once they get cut. So did you think like was there a part of you that thought like I'll probably have to fight in these other promotions the rest of my career? Was that always the goal to get back? And like did you kind of think it was possible for you?
It was like it was kind of a goal, but I was also accepting the fact that okay, I'm still doing what I love. I can still make some money, and I might have to just do it elsewhere because I did have 8 fights in the UFC that first run. So like I was kind of back and forth on it. I know after I had one in Ryzen in Japan, I came back and I was like, dude, they got to take me back now. And then crickets, I heard nothing, and yeah, that was kind of rough. But I just kind of stayed true to the course and just again just stayed active and doubling down on my game. And I knew whether it was back in the UFC or whether or not maybe PFL opened up a bantamweight tournament, like I was going to be somewhere and I was going to do something big. So I just kind of trusted that.
Yeah, because like I thought you might have just stuck around Rising because like they seemed like they liked you a lot. Like you seemed like you enjoyed that experience, and like I know they pay pretty well compared to some
Yeah.
other. So like, but after it got announced that you took the fight, like it seemed like a lot of fans were excited you're back. Like a lot of media and fighters even were tweeting that they were excited. Like, what was that kind of like seeing that all these people like were glad that you're back in the UFC?
That was kind of it was kind of refreshing. Like I don't think I got like too much love when I was in the UFC. I mean, I did from like the people here in Vegas that really knew me or got to train with me and stuff. But I think I think I made some statements in these last few fights, and people tuned in and they see kind of what I can do, and they're like, you know what, like I'm down if Vince can get back in, and it was real cool to get all that support from everybody. But I'm trying not to like think about all that too much because at the end of the day, I still got to go out there and really perform. And I got this tough dude in front of me, Taylor Lapilus, that hasn't been finished that I'm trying to change.
Uh, how familiar were you with Taylor? Like I know obviously you fought Cody last time, so how familiar were you with him then?
So I had seen him. I watched him fight Farid Basharat. I was actually, I think I was helping Farid with that camp. I was a sparring partner. It may have been the fight before that, but anyways, I'm pretty familiar with the Basharat brothers and stuff. And I remember watching the fight and just thinking, okay, this is probably somebody. If they do call me, our records kind of match up in that way. We're about the same age. I could see us getting matched up. So I got a little black book with a bunch of little hit list of potential short notice opponents. So I was keeping tabs on everybody.
What did you make of his last fight against Cody? Like, did a pretty good job stuffing the takedown, just kind of out volume Cody to get the win there.
I thought that was his best performance in the UFC so far. I was kind of surprised. I thought Stammen was going to be able to get him down and beat him up, but no, he did a great job stuffing the takedowns. He did a great job keeping his range. I know he had like 8.5 or 9 inch reach advantage or something like that on him. So that's hard to overcome. So he did all the right things. It was impressive. I think he actually moved forward in that one a lot more than his previous two. So we'll see which one shows up next Saturday.
I know you're always in the gym training, but like, was there ever a worry of just like having to fly to a whole different continent, make that long travel, like not much notice to get training in for the weight or anything?
I wouldn't say worry. It's just obstacles. I just kind of look at all that stuff like, all right, well, cool. I work over this. I work over this. I work over this. Then I get to go do what I want to do. So I don't really let it deter me and like mentally or anything. So is what it is.
And you didn't have much notice, so like, is there much preparation for Taylor? Or is it more just kind of focused on you than these like couple weeks that you had to train?
Honestly, I think we've had more success as of late just focusing on me anyways. So it's mostly that, and then just being aware of a couple key things like his range and his southpaw tactics, and just a couple little small things that we can make a little note of, and then we get in there and do our thing.
How do you kind of see this one playing out then?
I think the first round's going to be a little tense. I plan to be in his face. I plan to probably get hit a little bit that first round, but he's so quick and sharp in that first round that he really, I think he slows down just a little bit in the later two. So after some consistent pressure, I think I break him. I think I'm the first person to get in there and finish him.
Is there a bit of a worry, like with just being in France, fighting a guy from France with the judging, like you got to get him out of there just because you'll never know if it's a close one?
Well, now there is. I honestly didn't think of that. But I think just generally I perform my best, whether that goes to decision or I get the finish if I'm out there looking for a finish. So that's just kind of the approach I'm taking, and whatever happens, happens.
What do you think a win here does for you? Like, obviously back in the UFC anyways, like, so it's obviously a positive no matter what, but beating a guy like Till, like, where do you think that kind of puts you in the division?
I think that puts me probably maybe right outside like top 20 or something like that. I know he's doing well. So, and I think he's got 7 or 8 fights himself in the UFC. I know he took some time in between, but yeah, he's a tough dude. So I think it looks great on the resume. I think it lines me up for a couple of great fights, and then potentially by the end of next year, I don't know. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I'd like to be thinking like I'm in the top 15 fighting some of those guys.
Who is going up to Paris with you?
I got Coach Wood and another pad holder at the gym, Coach Dom, and the fiance is heading out with me.
What was it like to see Merab win the title? Like, I know he worked a lot with you guys and Coach Wood. What was that kind of like to see him get that one over O'Malley?
That was epic, man. That was so cool. We had a house full of, it was me and 2 other of his main training partners that, man, we put in a lot of work with Merab, and he beats us up on a regular basis. So it was real cool to see like his dream come true like that, especially on that stage, in that Mortal Kombat set that they had back, dude. It was insane, and it probably couldn't happen to a better person. He's such a good dude, and he's always looking out for everybody in the gym, and he's just trying to be a good example. He's always doing the right things. So it was real inspiring, real motivating. And the first thing he told me when I went to congratulate him was how good I was. I'm like, bro, this is about you right now. Like let's focus on that, dude. I appreciate you, but I don't know. Just wanted him to bask in his glory because he really earned it.
Were you surprised? Like, obviously you thought he's gonna win, but were you surprised like how kind of dominant it was? Like, I thought O'Malley was gonna win. I thought he was gonna catch Merab just because we've seen Merab get hit before. I thought O'Malley, like, I felt like the same thing with Connor, just like everyone doubts him, and he just I thought the same thing's gonna happen to O'Malley, where he just kind of rises up and does stuff where people doesn't think he's gonna win. But I was kind of surprised how easily Merab was able to get him down, kind of hold him down.
Yeah, that was crazy to me. I think one thing that changed that, he was starting his shots out in the open, not just on the cage.
Mhm.
Like O'Malley's strong on the cage. Like you saw that with Aljo. Like he was defending real nice on the cage. So yeah, just the right tactics at the right time, and Merab kind of forced him to throw and then shot underneath. He just did the right things. I was real surprised how easy it was. I thought the first 2 rounds were going to be real tense, but Merab does Merab, so it worked out great for him.
Just final thing, you get the win here. Like, what is kind of the goal for you going forward? Like, I imagine this will be probably it for you this year. Or are you hoping you can maybe squeeze one more in?
Honestly, I'd like to squeeze one more in. I don't know when the last card of the year is, but if I could get on that one,
December 14th in Tampa is the last one.
Okay, so that would give me like 2.5 months. I'm down for that. I mean, the more active I am, the better I am. I think I perform better. I think mentally I'm sharper. The lapse and the time off that kills me. I like to stay moving. And I'm 33 now. I don't know. I plan to do this forever, as long as I can, but who the hell knows how that's going to go. So I know MMA has a shorter window, so I'm just trying to make the most of it. So the quicker I can get back in there, the better.
Well, Vince, I appreciate the time doing this on short notice, especially when you're flying out tomorrow. I appreciate the time as always. Thanks.
Likewise, Cole. Thanks.